Okay, some crazy updates here on some of our trade ideas. First off, I just logged in, about to run scan, and I see this LUNR. This is crazy. This thing has just gone nuts after hours. I look at the news. It's kind of hilarious. It's it wins a contract, a NASA moon contract. So that's pretty hilarious. I don't know why. I just thought that was funny. But this thing has gone nuts. Yesterday, this VRAX that I was talking about, this had a big spike. It since has sold off and given it all back, but that idea had produced a quality day trade. The and as I've said, these Momo trades, a lot of times that's the downfall, is something like this VRAX can happen where you have a nice spike, a nice run, and then it just sells off. That's kind of the nature of these cheaper, lower float names. But nevertheless, it had a nice move. But this LUNR, we talked about this weekly 1 year looking very nice. And I mean, that's I'm kind of in shock. I'm literally just seeing this. Pretty hilarious, but just a good example of hitting, making quality trades, and sometimes you get lucky. So LUNR, big one there. But what really excited me today was ALAB. Beautiful move. I would say this was the best trade that we've put out within, the recent videos. Beautiful move. And this is in well, we'll get to that in a second. I've jumped the gun. I was going to say this is in spite of Nvidia falling and SPY falling. This ALAB has been very strong. I had mentioned that it had some relative strength the other day, which caught my eye somewhere 2 days ago, I think. But this has been beautiful, and today it just blew the top off and touched 50, a shade over $50 a share, which was a level that we were discussing for a potential, top line exit. But just a beautiful move here. Big volume, not big volume relative to what we're looking for in total for our plays, but relative to what it's had in the past couple days, it has had a increase in volume. But just a beauty here. We've been talking about this, and it paid off. So really happy about this one. ALAB. I would say we still could have some more room to the upside, but you got to manage your position at this point. You got to take some profits, and you got to kind of resituate yourself, plan for, potentially a little bit of a pullback, but you never know. Overall, big picture, I would say still has some room to go up. I mean, especially if the SPY, kind of gathers itself, which, looking on the daily chart of the SPY, it looks fine. Everyone's going nuts about Nvidia, but I'm starting to think this might actually hold and just rip everyone's face off to the upside. That is Nvidia. But nevertheless, ALAB, beauty. Lunar, beauty. So two bangers that I gave y'all. This PAYO is kind of breaking my heart because, as I said, it looks beautiful, but it looks beautiful big picture. This monthly 10-year, I love the look of this. and it had the earnings, and it's been, you know, running away from us, but I just can't, I couldn't get involved at these levels. It's trader code. You just know you're doing the wrong thing if you chase up at these highs, even with it continuing to go higher. I mentioned that last video, and you got to stick to your guns. So this is one of those ones you just stay disciplined. APPS is actually, I would have liked to have seen PAYO make this pullback like APPS did. I wish they kind of flipped, because this one is decent. It has a decent big picture chart, but it's not nearly as good as PAYO. But let me slow down here. Let me gather myself. Let's start with this NVIDIA here. So we had the earnings yesterday after hours, fell off a cliff. Today we gap up, kind of consolidate all day, and end of day we fall off a cliff. Well, I wouldn't say fall off a cliff, but we sell off. So essentially we're down at the bottom of where this post market earnings price action was. But I am not necessarily hitting the panic button just yet, to be honest with you. I was reading a lot of people talking about, you know, this is the end of the world, NVIDIA, this and that, you know, the bubble's gonna burst, but I don't know. I'm feeling like this is gonna punk everyone. It's gonna shake everyone out. You know, maybe screw some shorts and potentially continue higher. So obviously this is going to be a huge component to our trade thesis, you know, in the near future. And with that being said, we look at SOUN, which we're playing off of this NVIDIA activity. And this is continuing to just hold this zone. It's actually kind of painful to even look at this thing. I'm getting sick of it. But that's usually the moment where something good's going to happen, and you're going to step off the field, and you got to just keep going, keep punching. So we just keep looking at this, because if NVIDIA does do what I'm talking about and hold and continue higher, this SOUN could ride that momentum. So not a ton to talk about on this setup. Not much more than we haven't already discussed. But it's still in that wheelhouse. It still has the potential to give us a nice move to the upside. So we're going to stay on that. The ACB, I like to just check in on this. Nothing too exciting going on here, but again, I want to stay on top of it. It's kind of in a tricky spot with the election and all these voting laws and passing bills and all this stuff, but gonna stay on top of that. This ZIM we talked about, this is taking a bit of a hit, still selling off, took a whack yesterday, but let's take a look at the moving averages. I like to check in on these. This is the 20 SMA and the 50 SMA. Yeah, not the prettiest thing. This in here is what I talk about a lot in my videos, about the squeezing moving averages. I'm a big fan of when the moving averages get in tight and the price action kind of squeezes out, and you can see here it exploded through to the upside. So if we could potentially pop and regain and hold this high 19, 20 zone, maybe we start to move up. Again, overall markets are kind of funky right now. We had the sell-off, but we'll keep an eye on Nvidia and kind of gauge where the rest of the market's going based off of that. The GovX, that went in the same basket as VRAX, but this one for whatever reason didn't follow in the footsteps here. But those are kind of on the those aren't really, those are just junkers. Those are Momo junkers. So that is really a quick kind of recap of what we got going on right now. We have big win on ALAB. This one really got me excited today. Big win on ALAB, massively relatively strong in a massive way. Still has potential upside, but this is when you start to pay yourself. I mean, we could see this make it up to this previous resistance where it came on the scene back in 318.24. So potentially up in that 52 zone. And again, maybe this consolidates for a bit and we kind of squeeze out as these moving averages tighten up. So that could be really nice. That will take some time though. That will take, a week or two, depending on, how crazy the action is. Or maybe tomorrow it just puts in another candle like it did today. You just don't know. But you got to stay ready. And that's what we do. LUNR. See, the thing with LUNR is, if you're not, again, it's kind of like PAYO. If you're not positioning yourself with a quality risk-reward situation, at least in my opinion, it's really difficult to place a trade. Like, for you to get involved in this now, it's really a dangerous situation in my opinion. I mean, you're basically risking everything for the unknown at this point. So this is really more so just a hold and manage and see if maybe this kind of quiets down and consolidates and gives us, if it kind of consolidates and gives us a tight little range that we can place a tighter time frame trade off of, that could be in the works. But we'll see what the volume brings, because even with this action, it's only put up 10 mil today, almost 11 mil, which is basically, nothing. But back in here, we had 100 mil. So if we could get some 100 mil type action, this thing could go nuts again, or continue to go nuts. I haven't given up on this ZIM yet. We're in kind of a wishy-washy situation because we have ZIM selling off. It's kind of taking a beating. We have SOUN kind of in the middle land, waiting to see what Nvidia does in the next coming days and weeks. We have ALAB, which has been relatively strong and just churning higher. So we kind of have a portfolio full of stuff that's all over the place. So that can kind of, rattle your brain a little bit in terms of where you're at with just the entire market and your general consensus on where the trend's headed. I have to believe that SPY is going to break out of this and go higher. I just can't see this not getting past this previous high back here in July. So with that being said, you'd have to then be looking to the long side. But with that, you know, does that pull back in here in this 550, 540 zone first and then go? Kind of like what I'm seeing for NVIDIA, where we have the sell-off maybe back to this 112 zone, 110, and then we further higher, kind of forming like a ugly, flaggy, you know, higher high, higher low, I guess. So kind of in the middle there. My top movers is definitely ALAB, SOUN. I still got a feeling on this one. And ZIM, I'm still feeling something on this. So that's kind of a quick little recap on where the mind's at right now. No new trade ideas tonight. I actually haven't gone through and scanned, really. I haven't gone hunting yet. I just wanted to pop in and honestly just brag about this ALAB and just chuckle about this LUNR with the NASA moon contract. I don't know why. But two monster winners. Let's keep it rolling. Let's stay dialed. Let's make money.